Yeah, we are good to go.
Okay, thank you, Manan. Welcome everyone for the next session, which is role of CSR in social entrepreneurship. I would be pleased to introduce you all to our diverse panel of speakers, which consists of Lalita Sachdeva, Head Private Sector Fundraising and Partnership, UNICEF India. As a lead for fundraising and partnerships at UNICEF, Lalita has been working with some of the largest companies and foundations to create complementary partnerships for enhanced results for children. She applies her expertise in partnering with private sector as a core team member for incubating a multi-stakeholder partnership platform. I welcome you, Lalita ma'am. Our next speaker is Mr. Gunjan Patel, Regional Director, SAP. Mr. Gunjan Patel is the Regional Director at SAP. In his previous role with SAP, he used to head the CSR activities in Asia Pacific, Japan, and India. He has worked with organizations like CII, Piramal Prize. He holds active interest in public health, skilling, and economic development, pharma sciences, and social entrepreneurship. He holds a master's degree in health administration and public health from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Welcome to the discussion, Gunjan Patel. Our next speaker is Mr. Sandeep Patel, CEO, NEPRA. Mr. Sandeep is one of the renowned social and impact entrepreneurs of India. He is the CEO of Let's Recycle and an initiative of NEPRA Resource Management. It's one of the first waste management companies to receive funding from investors like Avishkar Capital and Asha Impact. He himself is an active angel investor in early stage waste management companies. His active interests include creating ecosystem for waste startups, providing supportive technology, value chain, circular economy, and ERP. We are glad to welcome you, Mr. Patel. Our next speaker and the last for this panel is Ms. Suman Rajput, Senior Manager, CSR, Claris Life Sciences Limited. As the senior manager, Ms. Suman Rajput leads CSR activities for Claris. She has over a decade of experience in impact and development activities with experience of working with organizations like Karen and IL and FS. She has active interest in strategic philanthropy and CSR for city revitalization. Welcome all the speakers on board, and this particular panel is being moderated by Ms. Moira Dawa, Communication, Advocacy and Partnership Specialist at UNICEF India. Moira is a communication professional with over 12 years of experience in the field of strategic communication, media, policy, advocacy, and youth engagement. She also leads the communication, advocacy, and partnership as well as the Yuva portfolio for the UNICEF Gujarat office. Thank you all the panel speakers for being here and our moderator. I welcome you on stage. Over to you. Thank you, Moira.
Thank you, Harsiddhi. Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the panelists for this important discussion on the role of CSR in social entrepreneurship. And as we know, corporates are looking to maximize their social investment and impact. And incubators that invest in social startups are a great opportunity for such corporates. And here the benefits, of course, go beyond just meeting the mandatory CSR requirements. Incubators, then, on their part, can help accelerate startup growth by creating a conducive environment, providing mentors, funding, and other support services. Therefore, it becomes very important to unlock the CSR funds to accelerate social enterprises, which benefit both the parties. I thank all my panelists on behalf of UNICEF and Yuva for giving us their time today. And I would also like to congratulate AIC GUSEC for the very successful launch of Prabhav this morning. And the summit, of course, seeks to develop a strong social startup ecosystem in Gujarat. It will lay the foundation for initiating a dialogue and also building a robust support and growth system for innovations with impact. I look forward to our very insightful conversation today. I'll start by introducing each of the panelists, and also I'll ask them to speak a little about themselves and then also give their opening remarks. We'll start off with my colleague Lalita Sachdev. She's the private sector fundraising and partnership specialist for UNICEF. Over to you, Lalita.
Hi, thanks so much, Moira. I think one of the conversations that all of us have been having around SDGs has always been around capital and the need for capital to achieve SDGs. Um, and everywhere we talk about innovative financing, one another piece that always comes up is how do you look at mainstream capital coming into development? And social enterprises are probably the best linkage between the mainstream capital and development. But having said that, there is a lot that they need, I think, really in terms of risk capital, in terms of being able to be incubated so that they can really have an impact at scale. And that is where I feel CSR and corporates could play a large role since they know uh, how to create and scale up businesses in a big way, and we need to apply the same principles to it. So, really, really excited to really be part of this discussion in that context because I feel um, development is never going to be a monologue. It's not going to be very monotonous or be done by one type of organization. We just need an amalgamation of various different models that can actually help us achieve the results.
Thanks, Lalita.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for that. Now we'll move on to Gunjan Patel, who's the Regional Director, SAP.
Yeah. Thanks, Moira. Hi, all. Nice to be here, and you know, thank you for this opportunity. So, I think 2 cents from my side is that CSR in a way can ensure a steady flow of capital or the investment for such initiatives. Now, social entrepreneurship or startup, the entire ecosystem and the imperative per se, it requires that kind of steady flow, and many corporates are now actually considering this as a very strategic as well as very impactful way of leveraging not just capital but innovation and technology, and that in a way would serve couple of purposes. One, by leveraging innovation one can address socio-economic challenges, and second, in turn would also create more employment opportunities via startups or social enterprises. So when we look from various corporates or how they are aligning with technology business incubators or incubators per se or intermediaries, I think few things many of us are now doing very significantly and strategically is to look at the life cycle based approach. It may start from micro enterprise to social enterprises to youth led entrepreneurship to the startups, and idea is that fill the gap where actually there is a real need to address. Reach out to the geographies, demographies and the regions where actually the startup ecosystem is either not developed or emerging, and that in that way we would subsequently help in sustainable and inclusive way of economic development. So I think this is a very important areas where CSR should consider partnering with, consider alignment, and explore how we can collaborate. I mean, I would say that I mean, it is very pleasant coincident that we have partners here with whom we work some of these topics. So, for example, Atal Innovation Mission or with UA and UNICEF. So we have various kind of programs, and in fact, via AIM. Initiative, we also had traction with AIC GUSEC some time back, and it would go on. So this kind of collaborations and partnerships would help us to reach out to large hinterland that India has. So I would summarize it by saying that it's a very innovative and yet very strategic way of collaborating through CSR capital, and I think that the social entrepreneurship would address many issues and concerns in developing economy like India.
Thanks, Gunjan, so much. And I hope as we move further with this, forward with this conversation, we'll get to hear more about the UNICEF UA partnership with SAP as well. Quickly moving on to Suman, who's the Senior Manager CSR, Claris Life Sciences Limited. Over to you, Suman.
Thank you, Moira. Hello, everyone. So just to begin with, I am quite in alignment with what Gunjan said, that CSR can actually be a very good support system for the budding ideas and businesses. So what happens is, like, we have seen over the years, the development of how CSR has functioned from only the act of philanthropy to now reaching up to a point to strategic investment. Like, companies are being very responsible in looking at it, not from donation, but from an impact, and also like a shared value approach, that whatever the organizations they are partnering with for the implementation, is there a value that they are adding to them and the community where they are implementing, and also to the organization who is funding. So we have seen this gradual transition of only donation model to a very shared value growth model for the organizations. And if you look at that, so this is like a perfect time where I think ministry has agreed to support through the new social enterprise or the budding social entrepreneurs through incubators, because like we have seen that it gets very challenging for CSRs to honestly fund the budding social entrepreneurs when it comes to evaluation being through impact. So the budding social enterprise may not be able to understand what exactly is the corporate looking at. So incubators play a very major role when it comes to this. They can help build them in that structure and help them give the direction of what it means, because the social enterprises at times also, like I'm talking about the budding new social enterprises, they also misunderstand this as the donation or only the fund approach, which is not. It is like, for CSR, we are answerable to the ministry as well at the end of the year. So I guess, yes, it's a very good time that all three, like the incubators and CSR and social enterprises, all three of us can come together and we can really work on the win-win-win for all the three participating groups. Yes, so yeah, I would like to end there.
Thanks, Suman. Thanks so much. We'll quickly move on to Sandeep Patel. He's the CEO of NEPRA Resource Management Private Limited for his opening remarks.
Thanks, Moira. And, it's interesting that, I told Dheeraj that, social enterprises and CSR fund, there's a concept where as soon as the CSR word is used, the free and not giving back concept comes to any entrepreneur. And, I would rather say there needs to be, like, when 10 years back, when I started the business, social word as an enterprise was something new. And I was trying to raise money, and Avishkar, Vineet and Ajay, they were, very forward looking, and they saw something in us and they invested in the social enterprise. But today I would say, I think we need to coin a new word as well, which can be a social catalyst fund or something instead of CSR. So, if you start labeling it a little bit differently, then the perception needs to change. That, that is a catalyst fund which is going to support an incubator. And, it can be a part of the CSR, because what happens is the need of an corporate which is supporting through CSR, they also have a specific reporting requirement, which might not be possible for a startup to really, align to or comply to, because of the mindset or the challenges of understanding of scale of business. So, incubators need to play a bigger role in this, where, compliance, all the business risk which a corporate really, worries about while funding enterprise, is something which needs to be, really taken care of. And this new word of social catalyst fund or something needs to be used to change the mindset of entrepreneurs when seeking this kind of money as well. So that's my take on it. And, especially when we say social enterprises, typically the entrepreneur is an emotional one. So we have to understand a typical enterprise or the entrepreneur is a different one, but this guy is more with a cause for a social impact or environmental impact is what typically, the process really drives towards. So a person who's highly emotional or cause driven is the only guy who typically looks at a social impact business. So they have those limitations as well to look at the business in a different way. So initial days, those hand holding and, making them think differently, helping them understand the nuances of compliances and all those things are critical. And that's where the terminology also helps to, make them think differently. So that's my take on it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your opening remarks. I think we've off to a good start. But before we start with our conversation today, I'd like to mention that we all know about the Companies Act 2013, which says that a certain percentage of the net average profit has to go to supporting CSR activities. But what is not known more about is probably a small clause in Schedule 7 of the Companies Act, which deals with supporting incubators. And the clause states that contributions of funds provided to incubators are approved by the Government of India. And these are incubators which are located within academic institutions, and they do qualify for that 2% mandate. There was also a clarification in June 2014 via a circular which stated that incubators that are not based in academic institutions but have been approved and supported by the Department of Science and Technology would also qualify for these CSR funds. And over the past few years, we've seen that CSR funds have also gone into supporting very specific initiatives by incubators. For instance, Microsoft, Capital First, PayU, ICICI Bank, and Amazon have supported Empower, which is a technology accelerator for women entrepreneurs in India. And Pfizer and the Foundation for Innovation and Technology Transfer, which is IIT Delhi's incubator, have co-created a healthcare-focused accelerator toward innovators. So with this note, my first question is for Lalita. So Lalita, why do you think a boost is needed for social enterprises? How are they relevant to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals? And what benefit do you see in companies investing CSR budgets on social enterprises?
So I'll address this, and I think it's really not an either or situation of funding development sector versus social enterprises. I guess we should also sort of be very careful about the need for both the sectors to exist as well. But having said that, very clearly, some of the business models or some of the development models that have been studied extensively linked to business outcomes, which is the social enterprise, have globally sort of shown that there is a scope for scale while you actually achieve development goals, but also the fact that they're much more sustainable because there is a business objective behind it. Somebody is earning the profits, even if it's lower profits, and hence there's a potential to really scale it up and sustain it. And that at times when you're actually looking at infusing capital in development consistently becomes a challenge. There are many ways in which organizations do achieve that sustainability too. But having said that, it's not really a very business driven model or profit driven model of creating sustainability and scale. So to that as a purpose, clearly we've seen whether it is in circular economy, whether it is in waste management, whether it is around digital payments, there have been many models that have really come out, which are able to scale up cash transfers to poor communities and many other such solutions. So that's really, I think that's really been the benefit that one has begun to see of social enterprises. And as we get towards really ambitious targets of SDGs, the fact that the need of such solutions and these solutions is really high. And to my mind, really, that sort of answers it on why it's important. It really does hold a special place, I think, in the space of development to be able to demonstrate that businesses can actually contribute to results and scale.
Thanks, Lalita. I agree. Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals have increased awareness about the private sector's role in achieving the societal, economic, and environmental goals. This takes me to my next question for Gunjan. Gunjan, why do you think there's a greater momentum now than ever across companies to engage with social enterprises? And would you say that incubators are an attractive CSR investment opportunity?
Sure, Moira. So I believe most of us are working towards achieving or contributing to sustainable development goals, and when we work with social enterprises or incubators, one of the thought processes is around how we significantly catalyze the innovation, how we achieve the scale when we work with social enterprises. And many companies they do believe that they have that entrepreneurial mindset in within them. For example, we at SAP still consider ourselves as a 49-year-old startup, and how we grew from a small company founded by five founders who were engineers, and now we are 100,000 plus companies in 49 years of time frame. We feel that if that kind of scale and growth more and more companies can do, that would help achieve a socio-economic development as well as create more employment opportunities. So from that standpoint, it is a very attractive value proposition to work with. So with incubators or technology business incubators, and thereby working with social enterprises. Now, few other things which we can also achieve by having social entrepreneurship as a part of our larger CSR charter is that we can the micro enterprises, social enterprises, or startups are one of the ways of creating more employment opportunities. And many of us can share our own journey, our own experiences, how technology can help them, how I mean we can also bring in kind of mentorship by virtue of power of our employee or talent pool. So that is one reason why it has been becoming a good value proposition for many CSRs to work. Another I would say it's a bit cosmetic or tactical. That is, fortunately, MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, also now allowed supporting social entrepreneurship and startups via technology business incubators or intermediary organization. So that investment can also be qualified as CSR investment. So that is again a kind of a compliance for companies to work via the TBIs or incubators, and that would also help social enterprise not to worry about a lot of other documentation and other legal requirement, because there is an incubator in the whole partnership framework who can support the CSR or companies requirement. Now, when we look at other benefits, I think many companies are seeing that there is CSR or company per se is not working in isolation. When we look at the entire ecosystem, startups, social enterprises play a significant role. I mean, what we as a company started doing, and this is not a part of our CSR, but this is a in general where we feel that how we can apportion certain percentage of our budget for a purpose-led procurement. Many companies are having certain corporate requirements, event-based requirements, etc. So that's where even social enterprises can come and plug in. This is one part, but when we look at larger supply chain, value chain, startups and social enterprises have a significant role to play. They bring in the kind of agility, innovation. They bring in the kind of sometimes disruptive ideas, and those which are established corporate and all, for them sometimes from a process standpoint it is not easy to maneuver some of the agility part. So having collaboration with social enterprises or startup would always a win-win proposition. And especially now when we look at tier T and tier 2, tier 3 areas, or some of the far-flung areas where the socio-economic unmet needs are very peculiar. When we collaborate with social enterprises, we are able to come up with innovative solutions, a scalable model and scalable solutions. So having said that, that's always a there are multiple factors which are now sort of pushing that collaborations, and which are really win-win for for citizens in general, the economy per se in particular. Those are the few things which I feel are attractive value proposition. Uh, I, and to your second question, I would definitely say that yes, collaborating with incubators and thereby propelling and augmenting the social enterprise ecosystem is always a very compelling value proposition for the companies. And while on a developmental side, we work with non-profit organization. This is another area of opportunities for corporate to work uh, with incubators and with social enterprises. So definitely, it's a a very encouraging and very welcome idea to collaborate with incubators.
Thanks, Gunjan. Also, when a company is investing in, say, an NGO or a CSO partner, then that's more like a project-based investment. And once the company's funds dry up, then the program wraps up as well. So, in
Hmm.
terms of investing in startups, would probably help create a large-scale sustainable impact. Would you agree with this stream of thought?
So I would say sustainability is always desired in socioeconomic development, primarily because the fund or the capital or the resources are finite, and the unmet needs, the socioeconomic concerns or problems are aplenty. And if we want to address them, we need to have a sustainable approach. I would still say that with many non-profit organizations, when we partner, many corporates are looking at a sustainable way forward even after corporate moves out of from the partnership. However, while we work with social entrepreneurship, because the very nature of organization is as such that they also have a business model alongside the social model, so that will help them grow. So I would say that the quotient of sustainability would be much higher with social enterprises, and that also is one thought process there, which really excites corporate to work with social enterprises slash incubators.
Hmm. Thanks, Kunjan, for sharing your thoughts. And we've seen over the years as well, investors are pushing companies also to look beyond the economic bottom line to the triple bottom line that measures your economic, social, environmental achievements.
Hmm.
So this takes me to Suman. And I have a question for you. As the manager of CSR in Claris Life Sciences, what all would you consider while designing your engagement with the social enterprise? And how do companies ensure that the mutual interests of both the company and the incubator are aligned?
Yeah, so to answer to the first one, that how do we look at the social enterprises? So at Claris, like since 2 years now, we have designed a small program which basically aims at supporting the budding social enterprises. So when we look at or talk about this, I would want to divide it into two parts. One is the already established social enterprises, which has reached a certain level of, I would say, implementation, or they are out there doing their work, let's say an experience of a certain year, and they know how to work and go about it. So for such kind of social enterprises, the sole focus that we have is to look at the impact of the business or that social enterprise that they are aiming at and the processes involved. So what's exactly the process involved, how are you doing it, and what is the objective, like the impact that you're going to achieve out of your organization. So that is what we look at when we plan to partner or let's say support the social enterprises. Now coming to since like all of us are discussing that the concept is emerging, like social enterprises, the startup. It's a very going word since last few years that we are listening to, and but if you pay attention to it closely, like I'm sure, like I'm not that quite aware about the social startup economics and the data about it, but then we see a lot of them die in the initial year of coming up, right? So they don't die only because of the lack of funding, they die because the lack of handholding. handholding or the lack of direction where they have to go, right? Like I'm sure Sandeep will be able to tell, like the struggles he faced when he was growing, it was, I would say he was blessed that he was very well supported by the investor they did. But just go and talk to these very new social enterprises who suddenly is very passionate, I want to give back to the community, but then I have no clue what to do about it. And as a corporate, we have restrictions and our own challenges that we need to show impact. How are we going to do that? So I think to the second aspect, where there these genuinely new social enterprises which are very passionate and good at their work, through incubators, we really need to think of developing certain capacity building programs for them, where they take them right from the bottom where they are, give a direction to their passion, conduct the trainings, conduct the mentoring that they require at this point in time, create a program like an accelerator kind of a program or some kind of program for these enterprises and bring them to a certain level so that they don't die. So that is something I think which is very important. So at Claris, we do look at it. So we support in both the areas. We also support in the areas of creating this capacity building program where the focus is not on the impact that they're going to achieve or what are they going to, but only the aim of hand holding them and helping them that your objective is very nice, you're very passionate, but then you need to learn how to do it. It's like you graduated from the school, now it's like on the job training, I don't know where I get the job. So that window, I think there's a big gap over there, that there are these group of new innovative ideas, very passionate ideas, business ideas, but they die as soon as they're out in the market. Why? Because of this lack of direction that they don't get. And there are the second group of who have learned and let's say reached to a certain level. So I think I would want to divide them into these two. And so for the new ones, I think capacity building, mentoring, and giving a direction kind of a program is very necessary, which corporates can easily do it along with the help of incubators. And second one, which are already out there, we look at only the impact that they plan to achieve and the processes involved in that. So yes, and I think this also answers like the second question that you asked, that how can it be win-win? I think like if you very closely observe, automatically it is a win-win-win for everybody who's invested. Because for corporates, like we were discussing, and other panel speakers were also discussing that it is no longer like we are working in a silo, that social enterprise is separate, we are separate, incubator is separate. None of us are. We have learned our lessons and we have realized that all of us are interdependent on each other. We do reach a saturation where, oh, now where do I go from here, right? So all of us are key and very important to each of us in the entire ecosystem. So when we want to talk about, let's say, how can it be win-win for the incubator and the corporate, I think understanding the need, because see, corporates, when they run, they definitely run with their own business mind frame, and CSR is just a part of it, right? It can be like the 2% of the profit that we have to. But what we as corporates can do is that we can align, identify, find out the social enterprises which are in alignment with the business which is already existing or the CSR is part of, and build those social enterprises along with the support of the incubator. So that also raises the chances of the social enterprise to get funds, or let's say business opportunities in the same organization where they have been trained through or incubated through. So I guess this is one model which I think understanding the need and creating such training programs or such skill development program or certain programs which ensures that the business, like, because I'm sure once even the social enterprise, once it is ready, I'm sure it will go out to find for business and fetch for itself. So why not just along with the incubator, understand the need of that particular corporate, design what is the requirement, and once it is free and out of incubator, it already has a list of, I would say, the partners to implement its business.
Thank you. Thank you, Suman, for your thoughts on this. And we are now seeing the shift from project-based CSR to programmatic CSR, and then by adding social enterprise support to CSR programs, and then leveraging also the corporate resources, whether it's mentoring or it's technical experts, facilities, or even distribution channels, companies can maximize their impact and effectiveness. Now I'll move on to Sandeep. Sandeep, my question to you is that the funds that have been spent towards incubators from the total CSR spent have gone up in the recent past, but not as high as one would expect them to. Do you think this points to a certain hesitation about funding startups and social enterprises? And what would you say would help allay these concerns and fears that CSR might have for investing in incubators and startups?
From looking at all the stakeholders and their perspectives, biggest challenge is in the perception of being CSR being an activity for social causes where you have to give it as a grant. It is more often education not only for the social startups or incubators. It is also a important part which needs to be trained for people who perceive supporting social incubation startups or organization as incubators as a CSR activity. The communication gap which is existent between the CSR spend or the people who control the CSR money for an organization and for this thing needs to be, I think, driven from the top of the management of an organization. So I think making the management of the organization aware, because I think Suman and their organization, they understand all this aspect quite well. So that seems to be a complete alignment towards doing that exercise. Whereas in a lot of organizations who have this kind of money available, for them the focus is one-time activities or a 12-month project, and then doing a social activity and then walking away from it. And I think those things are critical to it. Definitely, a lot of small social enterprises need this support to survive the first 12 to 24 months. And that's where this kind of money is best should be used. And that gap of why this money needs to be done as a project of 2 years or 3 years to make them survive, handhold them, and provide them focus on core and non-core activities, making them doing practical guidance even by timeshare. The corporate spending some time with social incubators as well, telling them about non-core, core, as well as guiding them what pitfalls to avoid, because those are the small things which make a social enterprise survive. And definitely, the learning is on both the sides. It's not just for the incubator and the social enterprise, but it's for the corporate side of it also to understand that why this is required to be done. And very small percentage of that people understand that today, and I think that is why there is a small component of money only reaching there.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks so much. So let's quickly take some questions from the audience. The first one is, since CSR funds cannot go to for-profit companies, how CSR funds can support for-profit social enterprises? Any one of you can take that question. It doesn't make sense, I guess.
Yeah, I think.
Can you repeat the question?
Just repeat.
Okay, it says since CSR funds
I can see Gunjan
cannot
has
go-
responded to it as well. So Gunjan,
He
you want
has.
to come in? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So I think for for CSRs, there is this framework or mechanism created by MCA to fund via technology business incubators, and for example, many of our programs that we do. The social, it is targeted at social enterprises, their acceleration, initial incubation support, etc. So such grants can be legitimately channelized via the incubator or intermediary organization. So that way it is possible.
Thanks, Gunjan. So we have a lot of young entrepreneurs who are watching this panel. And I think everybody would want to know that what is it that you're looking for when you're funding a social enterprise? How do I get SAP money? Or how do I get Claris to support me? So, Suman, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think it's very easy actually. But you need to just understand what is it that the company, like the business that the company is working in, what are the thematic areas that they're investing their CSR in. So like a little bit research on that. Let's say if you want money from Claris. So you just need to go find out either approach or just find out what are the thematic areas where the organization is working, like the direct impact zone, let's say environment, new businesses, whatever. And if you have a social enterprise that is capable of supporting that, you simply approach with the proposal. So I think that's the easiest way. So because it is not a donation that we simply give you the money and we are done and dusted through it. No, it is we are answerable. So you just need to understand the thematic area of the particular company and send your proposal.
Thank you. Sandeep, you want to add to that?
I think, whatever I think, Suman has almost covered everything. But important part of any entrepreneur, again, the challenge is that their exposure at social side sometimes, to really capture what a corporate wants is still a challenge. So that time frame to really come and understand it might take 3 to 6 months, and by that time the entrepreneur is already struggling with money, so he's going with a different challenge. So it's a chicken and egg kind of thing where survival will become more important, and keeping the entrepreneur focused during that survival and then trying to still achieve. And trust me, the luck is the biggest part which an entrepreneur feels in that particular phase when he survives. Okay, so how lucky is an entrepreneur at that time to get some funding to really survive is more important part.
I think even incubators play a very important role, because I think incubators are those kind of a hub position where they're connected to the social enterprise and the corporate at the right time and place. So they can approach the incubator, and the incubator can guide them that if you want to, let's say, funds in environment, go to this business. If you want this, go to that business. So I think incubators play a very important role in this
And
as
also
well.
to add to it, in our ecosystem now, we also have a lot of incubators who are actually making young people really think through problem statements and look at solutions and create enterprises. Because I mean, very clearly for any social enterprise to be able to state what problem they are solving and the impact that they're achieving is a very, very important part of their pitch. And that's something that we need to constantly look at how they're really identifying it and working on it.
Gujit, do
Yeah.
you feel incubators are doing enough to create a platform connecting both the parties?
Yeah, so maybe I'll answer the previous question because we realize this challenge, and what Sandeep was mentioning, that that where the funding crunch is high. And again, we from that perspective, we don't work in those ecosystems which are super saturated, so we don't need to name them where are they. But and we typically focus on ecosystem where this infrastructure is not available. Now, as far as youth is concerned, that's where we also initiated our partnership with Atal Innovation Mission, as well as with CIIE at IIM Ahmedabad, and that's where we are running this youth entrepreneurship program. Then there is also a social entrepreneurship initiative. So basically, what we do is uh, we look at youth, their idea, their passion, and their commitment. I mean, it also should not be just a stopgap mechanism for them. Also, what we do, we start socialize the youth. We conduct this boot camp, not boot camps, but awareness building workshops in universities, and especially invite students who are in second, or rather in their penultimate year or second year, and also in build their awareness about what the entire ecosystem is all about, where they get this incubation slash accelerator support. And if and then we also run a kind of a small campaign through which we receive these applications, and we are a bit of sector agnostic to run such initiative, because it's a part of our CSR initiative. So once this youth apply for it, I have already sent one link, so even if any youth who is interested can apply. This is a round the year program, and what we do is that out of certain applications we select well, and also provide a kind of a physical space at the CIIE campus. Then we run kind of a hand holding incubation, and also some prototyping grants, all that we provide, even some basic stipend to the youth, because they need that for their survival. So that and again, here we also have connect with AIM at Niti Aayog. So maybe after a couple of more years, if the startup needs more support, that can be provided. So forward linkages are also provided with that, so youth can definitely look at this and see if it makes sense for them. They can apply for the same.
So Mamta Jain has a question. She wants to know, do companies discover social enterprises only via incubators, or are there other channels as well?
So if I have to answer, there are different companies have different models. So let's say there are companies who have their own foundation or trusts, right, and they want to run the program in their own campus. And I know, but I won't name them. They have their own very specific sector specific programs, like in energy, in healthcare, and so forth. Or some are in deep technologies. So that is, companies drive via their own foundation, and they have their own criteria of selection, etc. Companies also have a framework in which they partner with incubators or intermediary organization, and an intermediary organization run for them. It all depends on how much bandwidth the company has, how much human resources company has, and what budget level the company has.
Yes,
I
thank
also
you so
want
much.
to add to
Yeah,
that
please.
in continuation that, see, all these social enterprises need to understand that CSR technically, so if they want to implement now something, social enterprises are not the only implementation partners that they have. So it is not that if I, until and unless I find a social enterprise, I will not implement my project, So I think this gap, that how do I reach them? How do I reach the corporate? And the corporates that, oh, they are not even aware that there are social enterprises who are doing this. So I think something needs to be done about this gap, because I am running this program. This is running my previous implementation partner since 2 years. I'm continuing, redesigning, going ahead. And the new enterprises never get a chance to come into picture, right? And there are these new enterprises who are very good, very passionate with great objectives, but then they don't know how to reach them. So I think this gap really needs to be taken care of.
Thank you so much. There's a very interesting question in the chat box, and maybe Lalita, you can take that as leading on the Yuva Generation Unlimited program in India. It says, why is it that young people are perceived to be the change makers? Do we have any stats to prove this at all?
Stats, I mean, I won't get into anything specific without having that information with me, but clearly we see some brilliant examples from the field. And I think that's really what we've seen young people in states really looking at in their own villages, working on waste management, in their own villages, really driving more learning. We've just seen some brilliant examples that come out of it. And there are, of course, other innovation missions, one example, but there are many other partners that we engage with who've actually demonstrated how young people from either technology institutes or even outside of it have really, or even in tribal areas, have come together to create innovative solutions to local problems and really created models that are really scalable. And part of that really then really leads back to, I mean, since you talked about Yuva, and our aim really as Yuva is to bring together the ecosystem and also get young people to get into problem solving skills much earlier on and it's one of the work that we're also doing with SAP in terms of digitizing some of the content that they can use for learning and applying innovations to problem solving. The intent clearly is, and what we really need to focus on in our curriculums and outside of that, is to get young people and others to first start looking at their abilities to problem solve. I mean, change making is not just a overnight turn, but it's really a process of really understanding what that could mean, what my problem is, can I actually innovate, can I find solutions, and having the confidence in it. So creating those platforms is important. And minus those platforms, yes, change making may not really make much sense, but I think every one of us and every young person has the potential to bring about a small change. Like right now, we're running a campaign where we just sort of also say, even if you're wearing your mask properly, you're bringing about a big change today, right? That's life saving in the current context. And so change making is really not very complex. In case of social enterprises, you're applying it as a business. But I think there is a lot of potential of what each one of us and each young person contributes to.
Thanks, Lalita. We have about 8 minutes left. So what we'll do is we'll have a quick round, and I want each one of you to share a message for young people or young entrepreneurs who are watching us today. We'll start with Sandeep.
Yeah, I think I will just take some bit out of my journey, where initial days when the social enterprise was something new and not many incubators or funding was available. It's more, every day is a new day, so you go to sleep with all your problems and you get up next day, start the same challenge again with a new perspective. So that's something which I have lived by all these years, and constantly solving challenges. So challenges are part of any business. It's not just for a startup but for any large scale business. So one thing which you need to do is have that energy to basically impact everybody around you as well, to go with that, because I do get my team today also telling me, sir, that still today you have that same energy which was 5 years back to solve problems. I think that's what's important is keep solving problem and showcase that to the team, that this is the way we innovate and keep on growing. So that's something which you have to, as an entrepreneur, keep on doing on an ongoing basis. I think problems are something which are there to be solved, right? And that's what job of a social enterprise is.
Thank you. Well said. We'll move on to Suman and then Gunjan.
Yeah, I would just want to say that try to be balanced. Like there are chances, since you are a social entrepreneur, and like Sandeep was mentioning, we are very passionate and we want to achieve this. Just don't lose yourself. Be smart enough to understand that where all can the funds be available, or what are your weak points and what are the areas that you can get support for that weak point. So just don't lose yourself in too much passion. Be grounded and understand the avenues to address the challenges that you are facing. So be smart when you are going ahead, and just don't lose yourself in this. Be balanced. Like you have challenges, try to get solutions for them as well, and continue with the passion. I think, yeah, that is something I want to say.
Thanks. That's a very good message. Over to you, Gunjan.
Yeah, I would say that, of course, a balanced approach, but don't give up. See, no one in this world would have a things served on their plate. Everyone would have to strive to achieve, and so don't give up, but also don't lose uh, keep always some sight on what you want to achieve, and whether that is meaningful to you or not, whether you are finding your purpose of your life in doing that. So keep that also in mind when you are striving to achieve something. And at the end of the day, when you have if you feel you have achieved something, then do share your journey and experience, which will help many more people.
Yes, yes, that's so true. Lalita, the last word from you.
Worst one. And I think I would say don't be afraid of failures and learn from them. Um, I don't think anybody has achieved success by just in first attempt. It's important that what Suman said, you need to be balanced and really be practical and pragmatic, but also learn from your failures and keep pragmatically applying newer approaches to solve for them, and success can't be far behind.
Thanks, Lalita, so much. Thanks everyone for your wonderful message, and I'm sure it'll benefit all the young people watching us today. We've almost run out of time, but before we go, I'd like to say the discussion today has brought in lots of key insights. And at UNICEF and Yuva, we're committed to working with GeoSec to encourage innovations and the spirit of entrepreneurship in Gujarat. And it's a well acknowledged fact that startups and social entrepreneurs are here to stay, and schemes like Startup India and Niti Aayog's Atal Incubation Center only reaffirm this. And by giving strength of your money, your network, and your expertise, corporates can help incubators and the social entrepreneurs accelerate their impact. I thank all the viewers, the panelists, and also AIC GeoSec team for organizing this. Congratulations again on the very successful launch of Prabhav, and also for partnering and collaborating with UNICEF and Yuva for amplifying and promoting entrepreneurship among young people in Gujarat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.